Well, it's just about late enough for Fernando Alonso to have a nice glass of champagne. As the darkness here shows you, it really was an incredible race. I know we made you wait for the action to get going, but when it did get going, it was incredible action it was. The worst possible result for Red Bull, the best possible result for Fernando Alonso, and in between it all, Lewis Hamilton pushed his way through, and he gives his title chances a huge shot in the arm. Well, Eddie, I thought the only day-night race that we had was at the end of the season in Abu Dhabi, but clearly not. That was a unique Grand Prix.
Well, this is memories of nighttime racing in Le Mans, such things. I've never seen such a thing without the benefit of lights or whatever. If you were riding your bicycle 15, 20 minutes ago and you hadn't got a light, you would have been nicked. It was absolutely dark. How these guys drove in that, and the conditions prior to that with the weather and the rain, it was pretty horrendous.
OK, well, one man's drivers managed to push all the way through. You'll be pleased to know, Stefano, Eddie wasn't saying anything bad about Ferrari. I could tell.
No,
the way
okay.
you popped round, you were wondering.
So we are used to that.
We were talking about the dark conditions, and both of your drivers, actually. Congratulations to Felipe as well, because he's been under pressure. He handled it well.
It was, well, for sure, I'm very pleased about the result of today, considering the condition all around the difficult race. We had a little problem on the pit stop with Fernando, so a lot of pressure. But it's important to stay very, very cool. As I told you last race, we need to stay very concentrated. And we've seen today, you know, Red Bull was really very fast, a little problem, reliability, and then you lose a precious point. Now 2 races to go, very long season, very long season.
This, if ever, justifies any reason. When Raikkonen was with you last year and you've replaced him with Alonso, I mean, this has been a spectacular
He's always
move.
a friend.
He's always
a friend.
No. It's a spectacular decision, because now the coolest guy of the whole lot of them is Alonso. He said quite clearly, we need podium finishes from now to the end of the season. He's the one who's going to be proven right, or looks to be proven right.
I don't know. I think that, you know, now it's really the toughest moment. We need to stay concentrated and stay cool. And today was really the day where it was difficult to get lost, you know, with the pressure, with the long, difficult
pit stop. What was going through your head then?
Yeah, because we had a problem on the pit stop, so it was difficult. But as we said at the beginning in our briefing, the race is very long, so let's cool and wait.
And finally, and you're not allowed to say you didn't see this one, because we all know you would have done, Sebastian's engine giving way, giving your man the lead. What was that like on the Ferrari pit wall?
I mean, I heard the noise that was different on the main straight, and so I said maybe they have a problem, but be careful on the straight for oil, for debris. You can check on the radio, it's all live, so you can see.
I'm sure.
That's what we said.
I bet you would have done. Well, let's actually have a look at the standings while you're with us, Stefano, because it is even tighter than it was before in the standings for both the drivers and the constructors. Okay, so here we go. This is your boy, Fernando Alonso.
We are ahead now.
What do you think about that, leading by 11 points?
I mean, if you said to Mark before this race how he was 14 points ahead coming here, now he's behind, so I don't want to say anything. I just want to stay concentrated. It will be very, very long, very, very long.
Well, Sebastian Vettel, when he was leading the race, he was also leading the championship. He slips down to 4th place. Now, if you were the team principal at McLaren and you had Lewis Hamilton 21 points ahead of Jenson Button, would you be favouring one driver over another by now?
I have to follow my team. I don't want to give any suggestion to any other. So prestigious colleague that they know how to do their business.
OK, well, I'm sure that looks good to you, as does this. This is the Constructors' Championship, and it will show you that, yes, Red Bull are still in the lead, but that Ferrari are only 52 points behind. And at one point during this Grand Prix, Stefano, you were out of the running for the Constructors' title. So a good race for you.
Yes, it's true. Apart from, jokes, I think that for today was important. For sure, I was not expecting to have Red Bulls out, so with 0 point. But, let's fresh up the mind of tonight, and then we need to stay very concentrated for the next race.
Sure.
Stefano, just if I could ask you to step away from being team boss of Ferrari for a moment, sit yourself up in row Z up there and say to yourself, I've come to my first Grand Prix. Surely it was the most amazing, magic Grand Prix you could have ever come to.
I mean, here for sure, with all the conditions that were there, it was unbelievable, to be honest. I think that now here we have an important thing to do is to educate these people to Formula One. I think that this will help, for sure, but we don't have to give up when the heat is on. We need to, use these kind of things to promote Formula One in all the countries, and above all here, we are here for the first time. It's important that now we use this, to have more people next year
Yeah.
in this place.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks to
2
all of
races
you.
left. You're well and truly in the hunt, Stefano. A fantastic day for you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. So as you can
Congratulations.
see there, smiles from Stefano and a little handshake from Eddie, which is rare as well. But what about Sebastian Vettel? No smiles from him, I wouldn't have thought. He spoke to Lee just as the race was coming to an end.
Sebastian, you did everything that you could today, but ironically you were let down by your car.
It's obviously not a very nice moment, but I think it was a very, very tricky and difficult race for all of us. And, to be on top of the field all the time, controlling the race and looking after my tires, I think there's nothing that we could have done better. So all in all, I think we did a more or less perfect job, also with the result yesterday. Tricky conditions today, as I said, so obviously the race is still on, or that's not right. Well, I had a medium visor on my helmet, and it was getting very dark. Some corners it was very difficult to see the bumps on the track and to see the reference for braking. So turn 1, the first sector was quite bad, some places in sector 2, 11, 12, and then the last sector in particular was a bit darker. So looking back, obviously, it would help our result if they would have stopped the race 10 laps to go. But I think, the guys finished the race, so it was still able to see something at least.
It shows you what a championship it is, because when your teammate Mark Webber went out, you were leading the championship. And now with this result, which is just finished, you're back in 4th. Can you still win this with 2 races to go?
Well, I think we can. It's still 50 points to go. Obviously, it would be much easier if we would have won today, which I think nothing speaks or would have spoken against if the engine wouldn't have popped. But that's life. That's how it goes sometimes. I think it has been a bit too much of this season for us, and ups and downs. Of course, everyone had those, but I think we had quite a lot in particular. But we can't change it, so we keep our head down and we keep doing what we were doing up to the failure, just trying to get the best out of the car. And I think, in terms of speed, there's nothing we have to improve.
Well, plenty of questions for Sebastian Vettel, and questions over whether this was a circuit ready to host its first Grand Prix. These are shots just from a few moments ago of actually how dark it is. And you have to say, with the Grand Prix having only just finished, it's not just dusk, it's night time here. And Eddie, we've come here, there was rain, the circuit wouldn't dry. We were standing outside. There wasn't an awful lot of rain, but the race just couldn't get going because the water couldn't get off the circuit. It is something that Formula One has to ask the question, was this place ready for its first race, regardless of how good it turned out?
Well, first of all, I think you need to have a certain element of pressure. And the pressure, in other words, by the time you came, if you put it off till next year, the embarrassment of that, and I think they probably did the right thing to come here. Yes, it was a struggle, but they reached a level where I thought it was possible. It was a hugely exciting race. I don't think we should cloud the issue of whether the race should have happened. We did the full race distance. No one has been hurt. There has been incident after incident. It's been an enthralling race, and it's turned the championship upside down, and we're still going into a thing. 2 races to go, anything can happen.
Sure, plenty to discuss. We'll do just that on the F1 forum. And Red Bull at one point today were leading the Drivers' and the Constructors' Championship. They are now really struggling. Sebastian Vettel slipped back, and they won't want to see this. 3 men who don't drive for them in the Drivers' press conference.
Fernando, 3 wins in the last 4 races, a real game changer of a day as far as the championship is concerned. You must be pretty delighted.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the best races of the year for us, for the team. Again, both cars in the podium. Fantastic achievement for Ferrari, and being competitive all weekend. Qualifying yesterday, we saw a very strong car, so we knew the race pace was there. But with the weather conditions, you never know. So this morning was wet, and we knew that was a tricky race to finish. And of course, winning a race, I think it's my first wet race that I win, so I'm even more happy.
Well done. Lewis, you were very keen behind the safety car at the start to get the race started, but it looked like it was a bit of a struggle today, particularly with the tyres. Nevertheless, you're back in the championship fight.
Yeah, I think still a great result. I think very happy with it. Of course, some small mistakes, but very tricky conditions out there. I think Fernando, and he did a fantastic job. They generally had a little bit more grip than us, I think, today, and my tyres were shot right at the end. So it was just really about bringing the car home and try to score as many points. So, but no, it's good for the championship, and it's good for the team. hope that in the next 2 races we can have some better results.
Well done. Felipe, give us your read on the conditions today, bit of night driving at the end, and what 3rd place means to you and the Ferrari team.
Well, I think means a good point for the team, means a good race in the very difficult condition. So at the end, definitely was very, very dark. So even we have a very strong light, you know, in the steering wheel, which was very, very strong. It was even difficult to see in front, you know, because it was coming very strong on your face. So, but anyway, I think it was a good race, very difficult race. So we saw a very tricky condition at the beginning. You know, the visibility was almost 0, so it was very difficult to see where the car in front was. So, but anyway, I'm very happy for this position, for me, for the team, and Fernando, I think, did a very good job as well.
Well done. Back to you, Fernando. Just 2 races left in this championship. You're 11 points clear of Mark Webber, 21 clear of Lewis. How are you feeling right now?
Well, I think nothing changed really. We know that new point system, anything can happen in one race. If you don't score, obviously you lose 25 points with one of your main opponents. So nothing is changed. I think here it was bad luck for Mark and Sebastian. Anything can happen in the next 2 races. Still 4 or 5 contenders still. So, you know, as we repeat many times, being on the podium, being consistent, maybe is the key to win championship. We've been doing well, very concentrated, very focused in the last 6 or 7 races. But the last 2, we cannot forget that we need to be in the podium, and we need to at least fighting for the victory in the next 2 races.
Well, Fernando Alonso has now won 4 out of the last 7 races. You can see the young man walking off down there. That's Adrian Sutil. He seemed to think he was in more of a destruction derby than a Formula 1 race today. And one of the men that he crunched into was Jenson Button. Jenson now finishes outside of the points, 42 points away from the championship lead. Let's hear from him.
Jenson, a pretty difficult afternoon or night now, as I would imagine.
Yes, I can't do anything except laugh because that was the most hysterical race. I just didn't have any grip and was just so slow. I mean, I was pretty much the slowest person on the circuit. So, yeah, I was really struggling with locking fronts. I couldn't not lock fronts, so as soon as I hit the brakes, we locked fronts. So I was just, every time I braked for a corner, I went straight on because I couldn't stop the car, even though I was going backwards on the brake bar. So, yeah, pretty horrific day, really.
You made a brave move to come in early for inters, but that didn't work.
It wasn't really. I didn't have any wet tyres left, so I, you know, along with not being fast, I'm just destroying tyres. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, the setup we've got is slightly unusual, but not that unusual. So yeah, I don't know where that went really. And for sure, the race should have been stopped earlier than it was. It was way too dark to drive a Formula 1 car in this.
You didn't get any points today, as I'm sure you don't need me to tell you. Are you still in the race for this championship?
Not really. I mean, everyone else needs to have failures, so no, not really. So yeah, not a great day. Quite disappointing, but that's the way it is. But I don't know what happened. There must have been something wrong because, yeah, okay, it was undrivable. So, cheers.
Oh, wow, Jenson Button laughing there because he said that's all he could do. Of course, Fernando Alonso was laughing for a very different reason as he crossed the line. Stefano wouldn't be drawn on it. Come on, does he now have to support Lewis Hamilton?
100%. There's no question. The management in McLaren have one target, and they have now got to put all effort behind Lewis, and that means Jenson, who's a great team player, has been a brilliant world champion, he should and must do his bit on behalf of the team, because Ferrari have got themselves into this position by singling out Alonso to be the main man. The other teams now have to follow suit. And the same applies, dare I say, to Red Bull. They have to get Vettel to take as many points away to make sure that it's right for Webber.
OK, well, we enjoyed watching the race here. How did David Coulthard found it at the McLaren Technology Centre in Woking? Let's join him there live. This is Mission Control, where they do what they can to get their boys to the front. And David, it worked. A dream for Lewis Hamilton. Not quite so good for his teammate.
Yeah, absolutely. And Yeah, absolutely, and it's been fascinating to be able to listen to the chat between the engineers and the drivers as the race was unfolding. Obviously a very unusual race, but maybe I can just turn to Simon here and get him to give us a quick line on Eddie was saying there that you've absolutely got to support Lewis now, and effectively Jensen's hopes for the championship are over. Is that the strategy that you would employ here?
No, I don't think so. You know, we look after both drivers. We want to get up in the Constructors' Championship, so we need both to do well going forward. So they both have the same opportunity.
All right, well, EJ, obviously McLaren are still not listening to you, so see you all back on the red button after the show.
David, just before you go, and Simon, also you too. I mean, you have to be pragmatic. That sounds very nice in theory, and it sounds brilliant in terms of the good PR scoop that you're trying to put on it. But it's not clever, is it, really? Truthfully, you have to make a decision. You have to think about your team. This is not a drivers' championship. It's a matter of... Sorry, maybe he's not talking to me anymore. Good old Simon.
Well, I'll just translate that. Eddie thinks you're not clever. Not you specifically, but not the team, if you're not going to support one driver over the other.
That's his opinion. That's fine.
Anything further?
No.
OK, EJ, you're on your own in that. Again, back to you, Jake.
OK, thanks, David. And before we let you go, just give us an idea of how tense it was, thousands of miles away in Woking, watching this Grand Prix unfold. I think that's DC speak for. I don't want to answer that question, but
doesn't like us.
No, he doesn't. No, we've managed to offend the both of them right there. But it was an incredibly tense Grand Prix here, and the way that it leaves the championship now, even closer than before. But perhaps Jensen, who, let's bear in mind, is still in with a shout mathematically for this title, maybe he really does have to support Lewis. Maybe it now needs to be a Ferrari-style situation.
Well, if the team don't support him, certainly the body language and the dialogue that we've heard just now from Jensen is very clear. He's out of the championship unless everyone else fails. Jensen is a pragmatic, solid, very skillful guy. He knows when enough is enough. It hasn't happened for him this year. It did last year. It'll maybe come back again from next year. His duty is to support his team. OK, well, even with that, you wonder whether Fernando Alonso is uncatchable, because at the moment, he seems quite uncatchable, doesn't he? And there's another chance for you to see all the action from this Grand Prix. It'll be repeated this afternoon at 2 o'clock on BBC One. That's the full race rerun, including highlights of qualifying as well. And if you can't stick around for that, then perhaps the shortened version, the highlights are for you, 7 o'clock tonight on BBC 3. We've got more motorsport action coming your way next Sunday at 12:30. That's the MotoGP from Estoril. And we're back in 2 weeks' time for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Let me just remind you, nothing has been sorted out this weekend. What will be decided in Brazil on the 6th and 7th of November. Remember, that was where Jenson Button won the title 12 months ago. Now, we're off to the F1 forum. You can email us, f1@bbc.co.uk, or you can get in touch on the Twitter. It's at Jake Humphrey F1. All kinds of things to talk about, not just the circuit, but the race as well, and throw in your questions for Eddie. Eddie, thank you very much for your company. Now, I'm sure that when you set the alarm bright and early this morning, you were desperate for the race to get going. I suppose Mark Webber was desperate for the safety car to stay out, but for Fernando Alonso, well, it worked out just perfectly, didn't it? What an incredible debut for career on the Formula One circuit. I think the fans might turn up again next year. See you soon. Bye-bye.
It's the worst condition I ever drove a car.